Welcome back to Schmattz Outdoors. Today we're gonna go through a little bit on how I store my bait and lures during the off season. I know a lot of people have questions about this, what they should be doing with them. I'm gonna show you how I package them up, basically how I use them for the season or whatever, and then I'm gonna show you how I actually store them and where I store them. Just a little rundown. So basically what I have is 5-gallon pail. It happens to be a square pail. You can use round ones, but the lid on this thing seals tight. I know some pails you can actually have a rubber seal around there. That would be better yet than this. This thing snaps on fairly tight. So once I get it in my house and stored down in my basement where I keep them for in the off season, I cannot smell this guy. So it stays pretty good that way. There are certain baits and lures that I do not store in here. So I use a lure called Ornery Badger. That is a very tame lure. It's kind of, I think it's actually like a gland lure, a badger gland lure or something. I'd have to look at it to see what it really is, but it's pretty tame smelling. It doesn't have skunk essence in it, at least not that I can smell, or very little of it. So that I don't store it in this pail. The ones that are in this pail are like, Cavin's Gusto, Fox Hollow's Bounty Hunter and GH2, Violator 7, all the ones that are gonna have some definite stink to them. And then all my baits, or all the baits that don't have real strong smells. So I actually have a jar of the 3 baits that I use. I've went over this in the past. You got Predator Bait Plus, Cavin's Hiawatha Valley, and then Cavin's Minnesota Valley. I believe that actually, if you buy this at Shields, it has a little bit different name. I think it's just called Predator Bait, straight Predator Bait. That's where I have bought it until I realized that this is the same thing after I talked to him at the National Convention last year. So what I have here is actually what I have in my box here is basically what I decided or figured out that I needed for this season above what I already had from last season. So really not that much. It's about 1 of each lure, or of some of the lures, and then 1 jar of each bait is about all I figured I needed. When I open this pail, you'll see I have a pretty good surplus from last year because my coyote trapping season was a little bit slow last year. So I didn't use as much bait and lure as normal. But I'm trying to cut back, and I would rather run out of some of these at the end of the season so I'm not carrying over so much year to year. So I'm trying to cut back. I have a spreadsheet on my computer. I'm a computer guy, so I use Excel. And I have a little spreadsheet started with all my baits and lures on there, how much I start with the season, or how much I ended up with left over from last season, how much I bought, so I would add 1 of each one of these on there. So I know what I started with for the season. At the end of the season, or typically I do it in the spring next year, I'll go through and I'll take an inventory of everything I have left. And then that Excel sheet will automatically tell me how much I used for the season. So that gives me a good idea. So say I use 2.5 jars of bait. Well, I know next year I need to have 3 jars of bait of, each particular bait or whatever I use of each one. My baits I use pretty much evenly around. So I use about the same amount of each bait every year because I purposely do that. If I'm trapping 1/4 of land, 160 acres, if I have say 3 to 5 sets, I try to make sure that all those sets have a different bait and lure combination. So I'll make sure on 5 sets there'll be all 3 baits used for sure, and then there'll be probably 5 different lures used on those. And it kind of depending on where they're at, I might use a little skunkier one and ones that are upwind, on the say for my area on the north side of stuff. I'll use a little more skunkier lure and let it drift down into the structure or into the, the grass patch or trees or whatever I have. So yeah, like I said, I went through and I ordered just what I needed. So I'm kind of going to show you how I package these up and get them in my pail to store them. Right now we're towards the end of August here, so it'll be 2 full months before season starts. So I'm gonna get all these guys in my pail and I'll store them down. It's hot out here. I'm sweating. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm sweating pretty good today. We're gonna get all these in my pail and get them down in my basement where it's cool. It stays like the hottest it ever gets down there is like maybe 65 degrees. It does get a little bit moist down there. Like we get a little bit of like condensation on the cement walls and stuff, but we keep a dehumidifier going all year down there. So, you know, try to keep it kind of in a dry, cool place is kind of the moral of the whole story of storing your bait and lures. But again, like a pail like this helps, you know, if you have a little storage room in your basement. Our basement here is not finished. It's all, you know, kind of, it is a storage room. The whole area, whole basement's a storage area essentially. But in your house, like I said, if you have like a little utility room or something like that, where you can stick a pail like this, you know, back in the corner so your, you know, significant other won't be upset, you know, if she finds it and tries to open it up, you know, maybe put a caution sign on there or whatever. Out here, everybody knows what this pail is, so they don't open it unless I'm around, and I don't open this in my basement at all because it will smell as soon as I open this guy up. All right, we're gonna crack this guy open, the pail open. We're gonna crack her open here and kind of show you what we got going on in the pail here. And like I said, this is everything that I had left over from last year. All this stuff is brand new stuff. I didn't bring my urine bottle out. I don't store my urine in a pail. I have about 2/3 of a gallon left from last season, so I only bought a half gallon this year. Again, I'm hoping to kind of burn through so I don't end up storing too much. And then like I said, there's baits and or lures in all these little packages. I order from Minnesota Trapline Products, so I have a few hardware things down there in the bottom, and then they wrap up all their lures, you know, in nice like paper. And there was more paper. That whole box was stuffed full of paper, so they can't really move around in there. These were all wrapped in paper. I unwrapped them already. But they wrap them, and some of the real stinky ones, they actually put them in these little bags that are actually like Ziploc on the top to keep them from stinking. Like this one here, just I know by feeling the bottle, this is actually Gusto in that little bag. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to take it out and I'll show you what I'm going to do with it. And I'll probably put it back right in the same bag and then put it in here. So, and I'm not sure what they put in that one, but that one may be the same thing. I might just write on the package what's actually in there. And then we'll get these guys unwrapped as well. So we're going to try and set you up here so you guys can kind of see what I'm doing. All right, so to get this pail open, it's actually pretty hard to get open, but you have to pull up on each side. So I'll do 2 sides, and then you got to kind of get the corner peeled off, and you actually have to go around the whole thing to get it off. So again, like I just got a good whiff of, you know, baits and lures. In the past, when I've ordered from Minnesota Trapline Products, if you order enough bait or enough lures, bottles of lure, they will actually send it to you in these little boxes. So what I have here, like this one isn't full. You can see I only have just a few in there and a kind of a variety. These are actually ones that are partial bottles. So I will try to use those first. And then in this box here, those are all brand new ones, never been used. And I'll go over what all the markings are on them and everything in just a second. So I keep these little boxes year to year, and then I'll just stand these lures right in these boxes. So, you know, it keeps them from getting banged around. They don't get broke or anything like that. And then again, I know what all the markings are, so I can pull them right out. You can see right in here what I got left. So these are Hiawatha Valley. These 2 are Predator Bait Plus. There's another Predator Bait Plus in the corner. This is Hoosier Trapper Supply Top Dog. It doesn't work that well in my area. I had 2 jars of this 2 seasons, and I basically got 1 full jar left because every set I put it on, I basically don't make any catches on them, so I don't end up rebaiting a lure. And then I got some just plain Predator bait, or it's actually, if you order it straight from Minnesota Traplines, it's Minnesota Valley. Those 2 are the same thing. This one here is all mice, which I probably don't need to store in here. I bought this in 2018, you can see. I have it for just a change-up set. So like if I need to add a new set next to something, like if I caught a badger or something, I make a new queen set. Something like this, a little bit of change-up bait and lure once in a while. And I have one that's an all gopher one as well. That again is a pretty mild bait, so I don't need to store it in here. All right, so we'll just grab one of these. So I hope you can, yeah, you can see there's tape on the outside of my lure bottle here. And then I have every one of them, I date them. So I write the date, the year that I bought this. So this one here is actually a couple years old already. And again, that's kind of why I didn't order that much stuff this year, because I'm trying to, like, you know, this thing's 3 years old already. So, and there isn't, you know, it's only like a quarter full. It's only full about that much. So I'll get this guy used up with no trouble this year. You know, like that one's a 21. So in 2020, that's when I got one of these boxes, because I bought like 3 of every lure. And I didn't really need to buy any last year, and I ended up buying some more. But so what I do, so this is Bounty Hunter, Fox Hollow Bounty Hunter. So I write BH on the top of it. This is Cabins Violator 7. This is Coyote Glands. This is Fox Hollow's GH2. Cabins K9 Force. This is Gusto. This is Jet Fuel from Hoosier Trapper Supply, and this is Predator Seducer from Trapper Supply, Hoosier Trapper Supply. This is Minnesota Red from Cabins. This one's Lethal Dose from Dakota Line Snares. I didn't get any more. This is all I have left of it for the year. I didn't get any more because it actually cost me more in shipping to order a jar or an ounce or 2 of it than it was for the lure. So I probably end up just using Lethal Dose as kind of a change-up set this year, and either use this up, or I'll have to decide like next season if I want to use it again. But yeah, so all these are all newer ones. So that one's in 20. These have not been open, so you can see they come taped. So Minnesota Trapline Products tapes all of these, all the real smelly ones. So Violator 7, Bounty Hunter, GH2, Lethal, or GH2, Gusto, they all come pre-taped. And I leave that tape on there until I'm ready to use it. Sometimes it's a bugger getting it off of there, but it helps keep the smell in the jar and not where I can smell it. And same thing for these guys. I actually retape these at the end of the season, my the baits. If I have some leftover bait, I retape them. All right, well, like here, yeah, you can see that these 2 are taped. I'm actually going to tape this one, electrical tape around the lid of it to help seal it up, because again, this will be the last one I use. That's why I put years on them, because that way I make sure, you know, I can go through here and see like, oh, that one's from 2020. You know, I know to use that one before I use the one from this year. That will be 2022. All right, so we're going to show you kind of what I do here. So what I have is I just have a packing tape, you know, with clear packing tape, and a Sharpie. So what I do with my Sharpie here is I go right, usually so I can see it, and I'll write 22 on there. Again, my handwriting's not the best. I don't really care. You know, 20. Good, so you guys can see that. They actually have a new label on that one this year, 22. All right, top of this one, we're gonna write Predator Bait, PB for Predator Bait. Because again, that's what I know that by. This one's Predator Bait Plus, so PB Plus. This one's Hiawatha Valley, HV. Again, so part of the reason why I do that is when I have them in my trapping bag, you can't see the faces of the jars, or even the lures have their own little pockets they set down into. So I mark the top of them so I know what they are. And then I found, this is a little trick I learned a few years ago. I had issues with, it rained a couple days in a row when I had my bag, and it wore all the labels off of my thing. So what I do is I go just past the label, So I started way over here, make sure that's stuck on, and then I go all the way around until I get past my label on the other side. And again, I'm trying to do this so you can see what I'm doing. And then I kind of make sure, so now I have that thing, it's basically sealed up, so now if it rains or whatever, it's not going to wear my label off on that guy. So I can tell right away what that guy is. So I'm going to do that with all of these. I'm going to electrical tape this guy. Again, on these lures, we're going to take these out of here. I'm going to throw that away. So that's Minnesota Red. Again, I'll write the year on it, probably right over here, and write MN on the top of that, because I know what that is. MN is for Minnesota. So we're going to get all these out, and I'll get all that done, and then we'll turn you guys back on. All right, one thing I wanted to show you. So in the two tinfoily things, there was GH2 was in one and Gusto was in the other. They're by far the two skunkiest smelling lures I have. One thing that I was going to point out, see how far down they have the tape on the side of that thing? When I put my packing tape on there, I do not want to go over the top of that, because when I go to try to peel this off, it will actually stop you from peeling that off of there. So I'm going to try and keep my label or my packing tape well below. All right, so I hope you can see, like right here is where I started. So I'm just below, and then we'll go around that guy. Okay, and see how it sticks off the bottom? I don't even care, I just kind of push it on the bottom. But I'd rather, and then I'm squeezing it on there, making sure it's squeezed down nice and tight. I don't really care if it sticks out the bottom, but I just don't want it. I went right below where that electrical tape was on there. So that way, like I said, when I go to peel this off, when I go to use this, I won't be trying to peel off my packing tape on the edge of that. So again, I got everything is all out of the packaging now. We're gonna tape everything up, and then I'll turn you guys back on. All right, guys, so we're gonna kind of show you what I got going on here. So I basically have everything taken out of here except for that all mice bait, and this is a thing of coyote glands. Again, see why I have it taped up. That was one I didn't have taped up, and I taped it up after the fact. After it rained that time, like you can hardly read the label what it is. What I did in this box here, everything from here this way is all open stuff I started last year, or like this one was a brand new one. I must have used everything. And what I tried to do, like that one is a 20. I put a second set of everything except for the Gusto. I put lethal dose in there because again, that one will be one I'll use. But like this one here is 20. Some of these are like, you know, 20s are over here, 21s are over here, and then I had just a few left over. I took out the two Hoosier Trapper Supply ones because they don't smell as skunky or anything like that, and I may just set them in here loose, or I may stick them in one of these little bags so I kind of keep them separate. So what I'm going to do now is, in this thing, I'm actually going to stack them in here per lure. So I got 3 extra jars of Gusto, and I got a partial opened one here. Let's see, we got Violator 7, so we're going to put both my Violator 7s. So I got one from 2020 and then one from this year, so I must not have bought any last year, and obviously I didn't need to. All right, we got a brand new Bounty Hunter we'll stick in here, and a Bounty Hunter. We got a GH2 from last year, 2021, and I have a new one from this year, so stick him in there. We got 1 extra Minnesota Red, a new one, and we got 1 K9 Force, a new one. So now, like I said, I know all this stuff is new, and I have it in here by which lures it is. So when I use both of these sets up, which, you know, I'll use hopefully that much this season, or not hopefully, but I'll most likely use that much if I have any amount of catches and get any amount of sets out. And then once I use up whatever in here, then I'll go to this one and I'll pull out usually just what I need. You know, if I know I'm getting low like on one of these, I'll throw one of these, an extra one. What I do is I throw a ice cream pail, you know, so the lid snaps on, and then I have that in the back of my truck. So basically, like every night or every morning before I leave, I try to go through my bag, and if I see that I'm getting low, or if I notice while I'm on the line I'm getting low on a lure, I'll make sure that there's an extra one in that ice cream pail before I leave. So I said, whether I do it at night when I get home, or if I do it in the morning before I leave. And again, I'll just open this pail up and I'll grab whatever one I need, and I'll throw an extra one in that ice cream pail. That way, like I said, when I'm on my line, if I run out, I have an extra one already right there ready to go. So these guys are ready to go back in here. So we're going to kind of show you what I did with the baits here. So for example, like right here I have Hiawatha Valley HVs. I have 3 jars of it. This is the brand new jar. That's the first one that goes in my thing. Okay, both of these other 2 are from 2021, so they'll go in on top. So the first one I'll use will be the top one. Predator Bait Plus, this one's from 2022. Again, goes in the bottom. And then I got a couple from last year that I had bought. So that's another 2021. And then we have one from 2020 that's basically brand new. So we'll put him in here. And I stacked them a little bit side to side here because I have to get the rest of these still in here, and hopefully these boxes in there as well. Predator bait is one that doesn't smell that strong. So if I can't get these boxes in there besides all this stuff, these I may set separately in my basement. But basically what I would do, like this one here is from this year, 2022. I'll throw him down in there. We got one from 2021 we'll set in there. And we got one from 2019, and you can tell that that one's been used a little bit in there. So he'll be right on top. So basically Hiawatha Valley, that will be the first one. A Predator Bait and a Predator Bait Plus. We're going to throw my Top Dog Predator Bait in here. And we're going to throw these 2 Hoosier Trapper Supply. So all I basically am doing is just looking for spots where they'll stand in here. So Top Dog and the 2 lures I use when I use Top Dog are in there. The last lure I have set in here is Hawbreaker's Weasel Lure, and I don't need that in this. That has a very mild smell to it. So what I'm doing is I'm just shutting my little boxes here, hopefully. Okay. And now, trick is going to be whether or not I can get them both in here. Alright, what we'll do is I'm going to shut you guys off. We're going to try and maneuver everything around because I'd really like to get both of them in here if at all possible. So I may end up moving my lures or baits around just a little bit so I can get these 2 boxes right here in the top of this thing. When I get that in there, I'll turn you guys back on, and then we'll show you kind of how I seal that up, and then I'll take you down into my basement where I actually store all this stuff. Alright, so I got everything in there. We're below the top of the thing. What I basically did is I took that Hiawatha Valley that was on top here, and I stuck it, it's right here, the next layer down, and brought one of these Predator baits up to the top because they're not, these are only 9-ounce jars, where the other 2 are both 16, so that one's a little bit smaller. So what we're gonna do, take my lid, and before I take that in my basement, we're gonna go all the way around that thing, make sure it's sealed. You know, you could hear it snap on, like that corner wasn't. I'll make sure this is completely snapped on. We're gonna take my weasel lure and my urine. Again, I don't need to store those in this. But basically, honestly, right now that I sealed that up, like I am getting 0 bait and lure smells right now. That pail, like I said, it snaps on tight enough that it seals up. Like I said, you can get painter's pails that have like a rubber seal in the lid of them. You know, I'd recommend something like that. You don't need or don't want a hole in it or anything like that. Because again, we want to keep the smell in, not let the smell back out. So, all right, we'll carry all this stuff down into my basement, and then I'll turn you guys on and I'll kind of show you where I store it, and we'll be done for today. All right, guys, so I have everything carried down into my basement here. You guys might recognize the area. I got my skinning table which I'm sort of using as a workbench right now. I'm working on remodeling my fox and coyote stretchers. I'm working on a design for some floats. You can kind of see, I'm not going to show you a whole lot, but you can kind of see I kind of mocked up what I'm going to router into my boards to get my traps to set into my floats. These are the bottoms for my stretchers, you know, for the adjustable stretchers. So again, I'm in my basement here. So basically, like, you know, the stairs and everything are back over here. So back here in this far corner, again, as far away from everything I can get, I have my baits and lures stored. So right here's the pail we were just outside with. This is what I had left over for urine from last year. And I've learned that supposedly you want to try and get the air out of that. You don't want it in that big a container. But I didn't have anything smaller to put it in. So again, when I got done with the season, I just electrical taped the lid of it. The new urine is right down here on the floor. This little bottle is my urine bottle for my trapping bag. Again, I didn't know where to put it, and I made sure it was empty. At the end of the season, basically the last few sets I made, I didn't use any urine on it because I didn't want to have to fill my bottle up again. So coyote bait and lures all in here. Urine bottle, and the new urine. I don't know why my old urine is so dark. I mean, and it didn't age that way. It was dark when I got it. And the new urine is quite a bit lighter. Both from Minnesota Trapline products, both Red Fox urine. But you can see how much difference there is. But I don't know. I'm not going to open that one up to smell it. But if I was a bet man, it's going to smell like urine. This pail right here is my mixture I use for raccoon trapping. So in there, it's a mixture of cat food and a little bit of shell corn is in that pail. Right here's my, I hope you guys can see that. So right here is my spray bottle. It's got, and this jug is the new, what I have left. This is fish oil mixed with a little bit of crawfish oil and a little bit of shell oil in those two. This is the spray bottle I use to spray it on the sets. This is the extra. This tub here is what I put my cat food and shell corn mixture in when I'm running my line. I dumped it all back into this pail. It seems to store pretty well in here. I'll get maybe a couple seasons out of one bag of cat food, so that's in here. Over here is the rest of my baits and lures. So this is that all gopher bait. But anything that isn't necessarily coyote trapping related is over here. So we got like, let's see, all of our muskrat lures are in here. Our beaver caster lures are in here. Again, that ornery badger, which is this, oh, that's mink lure is in there. Right here's that ornery badger. Again, that's not a real skunky smelling. And again, they're just sitting in this box. And again, so I kind of keep them all in one area right there. And then all the coyote gear is right over here. So again, down here, it's a little bit humid right now, but it's that time of year. It'll get humid in here. I have a dehumidifier running right here. I actually just shut it off so you guys could hear me talk. But yeah, so dehumidifier, trying to keep the humidity down in here, which I don't think the humidity messes with the baits and lures too much. If you were outside and it was like 90% humidity, then it probably would. Again, it's like there, you could see the thermometer, hopefully. It's like 65. And that's about as warm as it ever gets down here. So it's kind of cool and dampish down here right now. As the season in the spring, it's fairly dry down here. As the summer goes along, it gets a little more humid. And then, like I said, it's about the end of August right now. From now on, it'll actually start getting drier and drier as we get into fall here, because the outside air is a little bit drier and whatever else, and I don't get so much humidity down here. But we'll be running that humidifier all the time. Again, whenever we're here, we're running that, so it takes the humidity out of here. And then, like over here, you can see there's a little window here and a little window here. They're kind of blocked, not really for any reason, but they don't give us that much light. So we don't get a lot of extra light down here. So it doesn't, we don't have to worry about that. So we're kind of over here in the corner. Usually it's sitting in the corner. I just sat it right over here so you guys could see it. But yeah, by putting it down here in the corner, it's out of the way of everybody else. So again, nobody's going to be walking along that wall to knock it over or anything like that, or messing with it in any way. So again, if you guys have a little storage room in your basement, again, our whole basement's unfinished down here, so it's kind of all a storage area. But if you have a nice storage area, you can, store it inside. If you have a fridge outside, you could store it in that. I don't recommend freezing it, especially urine, because urine will freeze solid. But some of the baits and lures, you maybe could freeze them. I don't want to risk breaking one of them jars open in my freezer. So I don't recommend freezing it. And as you can see, some of my stuff is like 3 years old, 3 seasons old already. This season I'll get all that stuff used up, but like I said, it's just as good now as it was when it was brand new. Especially all these baits and lures, the stuff I get from cabins, I've never really seen a difference from, leaving it for a year or even 2, holding it over from 1 year to the next. I can open it up, and to me it smells just like a brand new jar of it would smell. So if you're buying quality baits and lures, you should get that kind of quality out of it, where they're pretty much stable once you get them, and they shouldn't change the smell shouldn't really change. It shouldn't tamper down any stuff like that. All right, I think that's all I have for you today. If you guys have any questions on, why I tape up my things, how I label them, anything like that, again, that's what I found works for me, so I know what is what when I have it in my trapping bag, or when I'm looking for it in my box or in my pail. I can see the lids of it. I don't need to pull every jar out of there to find what I'm looking for. And again, I try to use the oldest stuff first, and then, obviously as you use that up, and then start using the newer stuff. Again, that spreadsheet, I know a lot of you guys aren't maybe super computer guys, but you're watching YouTube video. Microsoft Excel is pretty simple to set up. Just, put what you start with for the season. So I already have all this written down on my little spreadsheet, what I'm going to start the season with. At the end of the season, I can go through and re-tally everything, how much I have left. And then I can at least determine how much I use this season. So next season, I kind of know how much I need going into the season. And that hopefully will kind of eliminate how much overstock you have. Like right now, you can see I had quite a lot of overstock from last year or even the year before. So that spreadsheet, I'm hoping, is going to kind of limit the amount of holdover I have from one season to the next. If in a perfect world, I'd have maybe like a half a jar of each bait left. So my pail there would only be, a quarter of the way full, at this time of the year before I'm ordering new stuff. So, and same thing with the lures. I'd like to be down to like maybe 1 bottle of each lure left at the end of the season. I'm not going to waste it by any means to get to that point. But if I'm catching enough stuff and I have, an accurate enough count of what I have, hopefully I made, an accurate assessment of how much I need to buy for this season, so I don't have leftover. All right. Again, leave your comments down below if you got questions on what I did. If you have any suggestions for me, I'm open to that too. This is what I've been doing, but if you have something that you think might work better, by all means, put it down in the comments. All of us that are watching these videos can learn from each other. So if you guys have a good suggestion, go ahead and throw it in the comments, and hopefully somebody else can learn a little bit from you guys as well. All right. We'll see you guys out there on the next one.